In talking about the and asset, your book is about the strategy or about um, a philosophy of the way that the company works. What is the end when you say it's the overfunded life insurance? Who is it for? A lot of people want to know, is there only a specific person that can have this? Is it only specifically designed for a particular age, income, savings, debt?
Yeah. I think one of the things that separates us from a lot of people out there is I do not believe the and asset is for everybody. There's a lot of people that literally will say if you can fog a mirror, you should, like, if you can fog a mirror and have an iPhone, you should review my podcast. But that's not true when it comes to when it comes to the and asset, and it really just comes down to efficiency. And the first like the first goal really is to cover your bases and is to protect you. And most people don't, like, most people need to cover that, and they might need to do budgeting. They may need to have a debt pay down strategy. And really, when you actually create a model, using your and asset to pay off high interest credit card debt is in most cases not worth it. Now, we have to factor in long term, we have to factor in behavior. So all those things need to be factored in. But there's a lot of cases that we will get someone started on a strategy and then start an and asset later. For instance, I had the opportunity to talk to somebody this week who read my book, super interested in starting an and asset, but financially it wasn't the next step. So it's super funny, Mariah, because I was like, yeah, this is not for you right now, but here are the next steps. And I was thinking, I'm probably the only person, like our team is probably the only team that would tell people no, but we know, like, we're doing this strategically because we want to serve you well, because we're playing the long-term game, because we're just like young and we're going to be in this for a very long time. So, so we kind of had, is it the question on like how much it, or what?
Well, I mean, I think I think it's a slew of questions right now. Just on, I think people are wondering whether or not the N asset is something they can have. Who is the N asset for? Who is it not? Is it important to pay off debt first before starting an and asset? And like, what is the age, and yeah, how
Yeah.
much? I think people are just generally thirsty for the knowledge
Yeah.
of this and asset.
I think Nelson Nash wrote the book, and I don't think I have it here in the studio, but it's essentially, it's this concept called becoming your own banker. And he pretty much says that banks are the most profitable business in the world, and that we all need to take over the banking function in our life. So he talks about the principle of paying yourself first. And then he also made the argument that whole life insurance is the best place to hold that banking function, because you are part owner and that capital is consistently moving and working. I had the pleasure of interviewing Nelson before he passed away, and I would highly recommend you go check that out. It was one of my favorite all-time interviews. And so this is what I'll say. It's easy to read that and say, okay, I need an and asset. Now, I'm coming to the table and saying we also need to be efficient. And what happens is, if you don't have at least $10,000 to put into an and asset, knowing what I know, there may be more efficient ways to get a term policy. And this will be in the weeds, so I apologize. I mean, this is the power of Q&A. But there's benefits of maybe getting like a term policy and saving in an alternative account until you have $10,000. In most cases, if you look on cash, you will have a much more efficient growth strategy and just more efficient policy to begin with if you can start with some seed money versus putting like $100 or $200 a month. With that said, human behavior is really important, and I know that there's some people out there that need to start something, and if they don't start something, it just like they can't keep it up, or they need to start it, or they're never going to start. And that's the argument that's made of like, hey, listen, you should use your and asset to pay off high interest debt. Mathematically, it doesn't make sense. But where it does make sense is if you want to get the ball rolling and get something started. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we do, by the way, that doesn't make financial sense. So anyways, I think we can unpack this more. I would say if you don't have $10,000 now to put into an and asset, still reach out to our company. I would encourage you to still become an unlimited member, but that it might look like us doing a pre-plan or adjusting some things so that we can, when we start an and asset for you, it can be a solid strategy. And remember, the and asset is not the end solution. It's just a tool on helping you live. And I mean, I know you have probably a question in there about what if the and asset doesn't work for you, or if it's not a good fit. There's a ton of other strategies that you can do when it comes to maximizing wealth. Hey, I want to thank you so much for watching this video to the end. This video is on life insurance, and if you have more questions about life insurance, infinite banking, why you should overfund it, we have a link below that goes to our and asset vault. This is a free vault that gives you everything you need to know about life insurance. We have case studies, we have a calculator on there, we have a handbook, we have frequently asked questions, we go through a process. I have my masterclass on there. We literally want to be the one-stop shop for every life insurance decision. And so if you want to learn more, click the link below, and we look forward to educating and maybe opening your mind and eyes to the power of life insurance.